Hi, I'm Vinny Testa, and I'm a regional manager here at Procon, and joining me today is
Steve DeVito. I'm the Director of Technology at Procon.
Procon is an ENR Top 100 ranked engineering, technology, and construction management firm. We do a lot of different things across the federal government and other entities out there, but we want to focus here today on tech. We're going to talk about some of the things that are going on in the industry, some of the solutions that we have here at Procon, and we're going to dive into that right now. I see a lot of challenges in the industry. There's a lot of things we could be doing as a company. Obviously, we focused on a couple different service lines. Let's hit on what are the top 3 things that we're trying to tackle here at Procon that are issues in the industry, and just give us a brief sentence on them.
Sure. So we overarchingly are trying to improve the efficiencies in the lifecycle management of the built environment through improved information management about the built environment. So first of all is digital twins. We are trying to make it so that the currently disparate information management systems for buildings all talk to one another, and we have a centralized way of managing critical information. The second is visual intelligence. That's taking photography and captures of buildings and processing them to be intelligent and usable information. And the third is digital transformation. That's how do we get to that point of a digital twins future where we're utilizing this visual intelligence.
Perfect, and I think there's a lot of things that dive underneath those subjects, and we'll hit on a couple here in a second, but what are some of the challenges you're seeing just as technology as a general across the construction industry?
Well, I think the biggest challenge we see is that we don't have good records of what is inside the buildings. We don't necessarily have information systems to speak to where components of the buildings are so that we can operate them better.
And you're talking about the facility management side of stuff, not the construction side, because there's 2 sides of the coin there that we need to talk, and that's a challenge within the industry, right, is that we hand over a USB drive at the end of the job, and here's all your as-builts, here's how everything was put in. But that facilities team has to run the building for 20, 50 years after we turn it over. So, is that one of the challenges you're addressing, right? Is the continuity of information going from one entity to another?
Absolutely, and in some ways it's an organizational or an incentive problem because essentially the design and construction folks are incentivized to finish their project and move on to the next project. They're not thinking about turning over a perfect set of, quote, as-builts for the people who are operating the building to be able to do that effectively.
So let's jump into what our team is doing on modeling and hit on that some and how they're transitioning that information into a model so that it gets into the facilities management team's hand.
Yeah, so during construction, the assets are being installed. If we're capturing the 360 photos with the technology I just mentioned, we are able to identify the location of those assets when they were installed. We can map the manufacturer, model number, serial number, and that data can all be programmed into a 3D model that we draft ourselves. So we can create what's called an as-built model, and that's going to represent all the architectural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural systems in the building, and it's going to have all that asset data, including who is sitting where, what the space types are, and what the assets are, all of those individual lights and pumps and fans and so forth. That's all programmed into this intelligent model. Sometimes it's referred to as a digital twin, which is a digital representation of the functional parts of the building that the owner cares about.
And that's perfect. You hit right on the aspect that I wanted to lead into now. So digital twins.